The wolf should have died. The river had already swallowed her twice. Ice-cold water crashed against black rocks as crimson blood spread across the current like spilled paint. Snow fell from the dark sky, covering the riverbanks in white silence. The she-wolf was pregnant. Everyone could see it. Yet nobody moved. Leave her. She's a rogue. Not our problem. The villagers watched from the shore while death pulled the wolf deeper into the freezing water. Then an Omega girl stepped forward. Elara Ashwood. The girl nobody cared about. The girl nobody would miss. Without hesitation, she threw herself into the river. The current slammed into her like a wall. The freezing water stole her breath. For a terrifying moment, both females vanished beneath the surface. Gasps erupted from the villagers. Someone screamed. Then a hand burst through the water. Elara, bleeding, shivering, fighting, dragging the unconscious wolf toward shore. Nobody knew that single choice would change the kingdom forever. Because the wolf she saved wasn't a rogue. She was the missing sister of the Alpha King. And within days, royal warriors would arrive at Elara's door. Not to reward her, but because she carried a secret powerful enough to shake the throne itself. And before this story ends, an entire kingdom will kneel before the Omega they once ignored. The village of Frost Hollow sat buried beneath endless snow. Forgotten. Cruel. Especially to Omegas. And no Omega suffered more than Elara Ashwood. She woke before sunrise every morning inside a broken wooden cabin at the edge of the forest. No family. No pack. No mate. No protection. Only survival. The villagers called her cursed. Some claimed her parents abandoned her because she carried bad luck. Others said her existence angered the moon goddess herself. Elara never argued. There was no point. People believed what they wanted. That morning she carried a basket through the marketplace. Heads turned. Whispers followed. There's the stray. Still alive. I thought winter would have killed her by now. Laughter followed. Elara lowered her eyes and kept walking. Years ago those words hurt. Now they simply felt familiar. Like snow. Cold. Constant. Impossible to escape. The baker refused to sell her bread. The butcher doubled his prices. Children threw chunks of ice at her as she passed. Nobody stopped them. Nobody cared. Yet Elara still smiled at strangers. Still helped elderly villagers. Still rescued injured animals from traps. Somehow the world had failed to make her cruel. That evening dark clouds gathered over the mountains. Storm approached. The wind screamed through the trees. Elara hurried home carrying firewood when she heard it. Howl. Weak. Painful. Desperate. She froze. The sound came from the river. Another howl echoed. Then silence. Elara dropped the wood and ran. Snow whipped against her face as she raced through the forest. When she reached the riverbank, a crowd had already gathered. Villagers stood watching. Nobody moved. Nobody helped. Her stomach twisted. A white she-wolf fought the current. Blood stained her fur. One leg hung at an unnatural angle. Her swollen belly revealed the truth. Pregnant. Very pregnant. The wolf struck a rock. A cry escaped her throat. Then the current dragged her under. Someone help her. Elara shouted. Nobody moved. An alpha crossed his arms. She's rogue. So. Not our concern. Elara stared at them in disbelief. The wolf surfaced again. Barely. Her eyes met Elara's. Fear. Pain. Helplessness. In that moment Elara recognized something. The same loneliness she saw every morning in her own reflection. Without another thought she jumped. The river felt like knives. The freezing water slammed into her body. The current pulled hard, trying to drag her away. She fought through the waves, reached the wolf, reached again. This time her fingers buried themselves in white fur. The wolf was heavier than expected, and weaker. The current tried to tear them apart. Several times Elara nearly lost consciousness. Several times she thought they would both die. But somehow she reached shore, collapsed, and dragged the wolf onto the snow. The villagers stared, silent. Elara ignored them. She focused on the wolf. The female wasn't breathing properly. Her heartbeat felt weak, dangerously weak. Elara looked around. "Help me carry her." Nobody answered. She wasn't surprised. With trembling arms she pulled the wolf herself, inch by inch, through the snow, back toward her cabin. Hours later the storm raged outside while Elara sat beside the fireplace. The wolf slept beneath blankets. Bandages covered her injuries. Elara changed the dressings carefully. The she-wolf suddenly opened her eyes. Silver eyes. Unusual eyes. Intelligent eyes. Far too intelligent. For a moment they stared at each other. Then the wolf lowered her head. Almost like gratitude. Elara smiled. "You're safe now." The wolf watched her quietly, as if memorizing every word. 3 days passed. The wolf slowly recovered. And during those days something strange happened. Several times Elara woke during the night and found the wolf staring at her. Not like an animal, like someone protecting her. On the 4th morning Elara returned from gathering water. The wolf was gone. Only paw prints remained in the snow. Elara felt unexpectedly sad. "At least you're alive," she whispered. Then life returned to normal. Or so she thought. 3 nights later thunder echoed across Frost Hollow. The ground shook. Torches appeared outside. Hundreds of them. Villagers rushed from their homes. Fear spread quickly. Elara opened her door. Her breath caught. Black royal carriages lined the road. Armored warriors surrounded the village. The Nightfang crest covered every shield. The crest of the Alpha King. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. A massive commander stepped forward. His silver armor gleamed beneath the moonlight. Every villager immediately dropped their gaze. The commander walked directly toward Elara. Then something impossible happened. He knelt. The entire village gasped. "Elara Ashwood," he said. "You are summoned by His Majesty, the Alpha King." Silence swallowed the village. Elara's heart pounded. "What?" The commander rose. "The woman you saved was Elara Nightfang." The name struck like lightning. Even villagers looked horrified. Everyone knew the stories. Elara Nightfang, the Alpha King's missing sister. Missing for years. Presumed dead. The commander continued. "She lives because of you." Elara's knees nearly gave out. The villagers stared at her in disbelief. Only days ago they mocked her. Now royal warriors stood outside her home, waiting for her. The commander extended his hand. "The Alpha King requests your presence at his throne." Request, not orders. Request, a terrifying word when spoken by a king. Elara looked toward the mountains, toward the unknown future waiting beyond them. Something told her this journey would change everything. And deep inside the royal palace, a king was already waiting. A king who would soon recognize something impossible about her. Something that should have died 20 years ago. Elara leaves with a royal convoy, unaware that the Alpha King already senses a secret connected to her past. The journey to the capital lasted 5 days. 5 days of endless snow-covered roads, towering mountains, and silent royal guards. Elara spent most of the trip staring through the carriage window. Her entire life had existed within the borders of Frost Hollow. Now she was traveling toward the heart of the kingdom itself. Toward the Alpha King, the most feared ruler alive. Stories about Kael Nightfang existed in every village. Some claimed he defeated an entire rogue army alone. Others said enemies trembled merely hearing his name. Many believed he was incapable of mercy. And soon Elara would stand before him. The thought made her stomach twist. On the 6th morning the capital appeared. Elara gasped. Massive silver walls stretched toward the horizon. Towering spires pierced the clouds. Crystal bridges connected enormous stone towers. Thousands of wolves moved through the streets below. Everything felt impossibly grand. And impossibly dangerous. As the carriage entered the city, people immediately noticed her. An Omega. Inside a royal carriage. Whispers followed them. Suspicious looks. Confused stares. No one understood why an ordinary Omega had been brought to the palace. Truthfully, neither did Elara. The royal castle stood at the center of the city like a mountain carved from silver and obsidian. When she stepped through its gates, she felt smaller than ever. Guards lined every corridor. Servants hurried through enormous halls. Nobles dressed in expensive fabrics watched her openly. Many didn't bother hiding their disgust. An Omega. Heir. Inside the royal palace. The commander led her toward the throne room. The closer they came, the louder her heartbeat became. Massive doors opened, and Elara stepped inside. The throne room was breathtaking. Sunlight poured through towering stained glass windows. Silver pillars reached toward the ceiling. Hundreds of nobles filled the chamber. Yet none of them captured her attention. Only him. Alpha King Kael Nightfang. He sat upon a black throne carved from ancient stone. Powerful. Motionless. Like a predator observing prey. His dark hair fell across his forehead. Silver eyes scanned the room with frightening intensity. The entire court seemed to orbit around his presence. Even seated, he looked dangerous. The moment Elara entered, his gaze found hers, and stayed there. The room fell silent. Kael's eyes narrowed slightly, as if something about her confused him. The commander knelt. "Your Majesty, Elara Ashwood has arrived." No response. Kael continued staring. The silence stretched, growing uncomfortable. Finally, a noblewoman laughed. Then another. Soon whispers spread throughout the hall. "That's the Omega. She looks ordinary. The king summoned her for this? Pathetic." Elara felt heat crawl into her cheeks. She lowered her eyes. The mockery grew louder. Then a voice cut through the room. "Cold. Dark. Dangerous. Enough." Instant silence. Kael hadn't raised his voice. He didn't need to. The entire court obeyed instantly. His gaze remained fixed on Elara, studying her, searching, almost remembering something. Before anyone could speak again, another set of doors opened. Gasps filled the hall. A beautiful woman entered. White hair, silver eyes, royal elegance. Elara Nightfang. Alive. The missing princess crossed the room quickly, then shocked everyone. She embraced Elara. The court exploded with murmurs. Lyra stepped back and smiled. "She saved my life." Silence followed. Then Lyra turned toward the throne. "I would be dead." She touched her stomach. "And so would my pup." The room became still. Even the nobles looked uncomfortable now. Moments ago they mocked Elara. Now they learned she had saved royal blood. Lyra faced the court. "When everyone else abandoned me, she jumped into that river." Her voice trembled. She risked everything for a stranger. For the first time, respect appeared in some faces. But not all. Near the throne stood a woman dressed in dark crimson silk. Lady Seraphina, royal advisor. One of the kingdom's most influential figures. Her smile never reached her eyes. "How touching," Seraphina said. "But perhaps we should verify this Omega's intentions." The room shifted again. Suspicion returned. Elara felt dozens of eyes land on her. Seraphina continued. "After all, coincidence can be dangerous." Kael remained silent. Watching. Always watching. Elara suddenly felt trapped. Like invisible claws surrounded her. Then something strange happened. Kael stood. The entire court immediately lowered their heads. The king descended the throne steps slowly. One step. Then another. Until he stood directly before Elara. She could feel his presence. Power radiated from him. Ancient. Dominant. Terrifying. Kael leaned slightly closer. His eyes narrowed. For a moment confusion flashed across his face. Then shock. Brief flash. Gone almost immediately. But Elara saw it. The Alpha King looked shocked. Why? The room waited. Nobody breathed. Nobody moved. Then Kael whispered something so quietly only those nearest could hear. No. His expression darkened. Impossible emotions crossed his face. Confusion, recognition, disbelief. Lyra noticed. So you smell it too. The room erupted. What smell? What are they talking about? Kael ignored everyone. His eyes remained fixed on Elara. For the first time since entering the palace, she felt genuine fear. Not because he looked angry. Because he looked haunted. Like he had seen a ghost. Slowly, Kael reached toward the necklace hidden beneath Elara's dress. A necklace she had worn her entire life. The only thing her unknown parents left behind. His hand froze inches away. His breathing changed. The room waited. Then Kael stepped back. As though touching it would reveal something he wasn't ready to face. What is it? Lyra asked quietly. Kael's jaw tightened. For several seconds he said nothing. The throne room remained frozen. Then the Alpha King finally spoke. And his words sent chills through everyone present. Including Elara. Because his voice sounded shaken. The scent. He looked directly into her eyes. A bloodline carrying that scent vanished 20 years ago. The room erupted into chaos. Nobles gasped. Several elders stood abruptly. Seraphina's smile disappeared. Only for a second. But Elara noticed. And so did Lyra. Something was terribly wrong. Something hidden. Something dangerous. Kael turned away immediately. Summon Elder Rowan. His command echoed through the hall. At the mention of that name, several nobles looked nervous. Elder Rowan. Keeper of ancient histories. Guardian of royal records. If anyone knew the truth, it would be him. As servants rushed away, Elara's heart pounded harder than ever. What scent? What bloodline? What did any of this have to do with her? She had come expecting gratitude. Instead she found mystery, fear, and secrets buried beneath the throne itself. Yet none of that frightened her as much as the look she caught on Lady Seraphina's face. For only a moment, only a single moment, the royal advisor looked terrified. As if Elara's existence threatened everything she had built. And somewhere deep within the palace, a hidden enemy had already decided. The Omega who saved the princess could not be allowed to learn the truth. Elder Rowan is summoned to identify Elara's mysterious bloodline, while an unseen enemy begins planning her death before the truth can be revealed. The palace changed after that day. Not openly. Not enough for most people to notice. But Elara felt it. Eyes followed her everywhere. Servants stopped talking when she entered rooms. Guards appeared outside her chambers. Whispers echoed through hallways. Everyone wanted answers. Unfortunately, Elara had none. 3 days passed before Elder Rowan finally arrived. The old wolf was nearly 80 years old. His silver beard reached his chest. Ancient runes decorated his dark robes. And despite his age, his golden eyes remained sharp. The moment he entered the council chamber, every noble stood, even Kael. That alone revealed how respected the elder truly was. Elara sat quietly while Rowan approached her. For several moments he simply stared. Then his gaze dropped to her necklace. His entire body froze. The room became silent. "Impossible," he whispered. Kael immediately stood. "You recognize it." Rowan's trembling hand reached toward the pendant. An ancient silver moon surrounded by vines. A symbol Elara had worn her entire life. The elder's face turned pale. "I haven't seen this crest in 20 years. The room exploded into whispers. Seraphina remained silent. But her fingers tightened around her chair. Kael noticed. So did Lyra. Rowan continued. "This belonged to House Mooncrest." Nobody spoke. Even the air felt heavy. Elara frowned. "What is House Mooncrest?" The elder looked at her sadly. "The royal Luna family." Shock spread across the chamber. Elara laughed nervously. "That's impossible." No one joined her. Rowan's expression remained serious. 20 years ago, House Mooncrest was slaughtered. A chill ran through her body. Every member was believed dead. Kael's eyes narrowed. Believed? Rowan hesitated, then nodded. There was one missing child. Silence. Absolute silence. Elara suddenly couldn't breathe. No. Rowan looked directly at her. A female infant. The room seemed to spin. Serafina abruptly stood. This is absurd. Everyone turned toward her. The necklace proves nothing. Her reaction came too quickly, too aggressively. Kael noticed immediately. But before anyone could respond, a servant rushed into the chamber. Panic. Your Majesty. The servant dropped to one knee. A fire. What? The royal archives are burning. Chaos erupted. Kael moved instantly. Within minutes, everyone rushed toward the archive wing. Smoke filled the air. Flames consumed shelves packed with centuries of records. Guards carried buckets. Servants screamed. Historians tried saving ancient scrolls. Kael's face darkened. This wasn't an accident. Someone had started the fire. Someone wanted information destroyed. Then Rowan suddenly shouted. The Mooncrest records. Too late. The section containing House Mooncrest history collapsed beneath falling beams. Consumed by flames. Destroyed. Years of evidence vanished in seconds. Elara stood frozen. A terrible feeling settled inside her chest. Someone was erasing the truth. And that truth involved her. That night she couldn't sleep. Questions haunted her. Who were her parents? Why had she been abandoned? Why did everyone seem terrified of the answers? Near midnight she left her chambers. The palace corridors sat empty beneath moonlight. She wandered without purpose, trying to clear her thoughts. Then she heard footsteps. Behind her. Low. Deliberate. Elara turned. Nothing. The corridor appeared empty. Yet her instincts screamed danger. She continued walking. The footsteps returned. Closer this time. Her heartbeat accelerated. Who's there? No answer. Then movement. A shadow detached itself from the darkness. Masked figure. A blade flashed. Elara barely reacted in time. The knife missed her throat by inches. He screamed. The assassin attacked again. Rest. Professional. Deadly. Elara stumbled backward. The blade sliced her shoulder. Pain exploded through her body. The assassin lunged. Then another figure crashed into him. A royal guard. Steel collided. More guards appeared. The assassin realized he was trapped. Without hesitation he jumped through a window, vanishing into the darkness below. Moments later Kael arrived. His eyes immediately found the blood on Elara's shoulder. Something dangerous flashed across his face. Rage. Pure rage. Who did this? Nobody answered. The assassin was gone. Kael looked at the blood staining her dress. His jaw tightened. For the first time, Elara saw genuine concern in his eyes. Somehow, that frightened her even more. Because if someone was willing to kill her, then the truth must be far more important than she realized. The next morning another disaster struck. The only surviving document Rowan had rescued from the archives disappeared. Vanished. Without a trace. The final piece of evidence connecting Elara to House Mooncrest was gone. And somewhere inside the palace, a hidden enemy smiled. Because the game had entered its next stage. The last surviving document proving Elara's identity disappears, while the assassin's attack confirms someone powerful wants her dead. Fear changed everything. After the assassination attempt, guards followed Elara constantly. Kael personally ordered increased protection. Yet somehow she felt less safe than ever. Danger wasn't outside anymore. It was inside the palace. Inside the court. Inside the throne room. Among people pretending to be allies. One of those allies was Alpha Darius, commander of the royal warriors. The same man who brought her from Frost Hollow. Unlike most nobles, Darius treated her kindly. He trained her in self-defense, showed her secret paths through the palace, warned her about dangerous courtiers. Slowly, Elara began trusting him, a mistake she would soon regret. Meanwhile, Serafina grew desperate. For years she had controlled the court, manipulated decisions, eliminated rivals, and waited patiently for her chance to seize greater power. Elara threatened everything. If the Omega truly belonged to House Mooncrest, old secrets might surface. Secrets buried beneath blood. Secrets Serafina had killed to protect. So she created a new plan. Cruel one. Several weeks later, royal guards stormed Elara's chambers. She was eating breakfast when they entered. Weapons drawn. Faces grim. Elara Ashwood. Confusion crossed her face. What happened? The captain stepped forward. You are under arrest. The world stopped. What? No explanation came. Only cold steel. The guards escorted her through the palace. Everyone watched. Everyone whispered. Everyone judged. The throne room awaited. Filled. Nobles. Council members. Warriors. Even servants gathered to witness the spectacle. At the center stood Kael. Expression unreadable. Beside him stood Serafina, smiling. Elara's stomach dropped. Something was wrong. Very wrong. A chest rested in the center of the room. Serafina opened it dramatically. Gasps echoed. Inside were military maps, royal secrets, letters discussing rebellion, and one horrifying detail. Each document carried Elara's signature. Her blood turned cold. No. Kael's voice remained calm. These documents were found in your room. I've never seen them. Serafina sighed dramatically. Of course you'd say that. The court murmured. Doubt spread quickly. Elara looked desperately toward Darius. The commander avoided her eyes. Terrible realization formed. Oh, please no. Darius finally spoke. I personally witnessed suspicious behavior. Her heart shattered. What? The room blurred. He couldn't mean that. Not Darius. Not the man she trusted. Yet there he stood. Lying. Without hesitation. Without guilt. The betrayal hit harder than any blade. Kael watched silently. Torn between instinct and evidence. Lyra stepped forward. This feels wrong. Serafina immediately countered. Facts don't care about feelings. More documents appeared. More witnesses. More lies. Every piece carefully prepared. Every detail perfectly arranged. Trap. And Elara stood at its center. She looked at Kael. Desperate. Hoping. Believing. He would see through it. For a moment she thought he might. Their eyes met. Silence stretched. Then Kael looked away. And her hope died. 'Cause she understood. The king didn't trust her. Not completely. Not enough. That evening she sat inside a silver prison cell. Cold. Alone. Broken. Hours passed. Then footsteps approached. Oh. The Alpha King stood outside the bars. Neither spoke immediately. The silence hurt. Finally Elara whispered. You believe them. Kael's expression tightened. The evidence is overwhelming. A bitter laugh escaped her. So that's it. No. His voice sounded strained. I don't know what to believe. She stared at him. The man who protected her. The man who looked concerned after the assassination attempt. The man who almost seemed to care. Replaced by a king. A king choosing caution over trust. Somehow. That hurt most of all. The next morning the entire kingdom received shocking news. Elara Ashwood had been convicted of treason. Her punishment was exile. Permanent exile. No trial. No appeal. No mercy. Snow fell heavily as guards escorted her beyond the city gates. Crowds gathered. Some cheered. Others looked away. Kael stood atop the wall. Watching. Silent. Elara stopped once. Just once. And looked back. Their eyes met across the falling snow. Neither moved. Neither spoke. Then she turned away. And disappeared into the storm. None of them knew this would be the greatest mistake of Kael's life. Because before long, the kingdom would learn a terrible truth. The Omega they cast out was not a traitor. She was their salvation. And when she returned, everything would burn. Exiled and betrayed, Elara vanishes into a deadly snowstorm while the people who framed her believe she will never return. But fate has other plans. The storm should have killed her. That was the plan. That was always the plan. Snow fell so heavily that the road disappeared beneath a blanket of white. Freezing winds tore through Elara's thin cloak while darkness swallowed the mountains around her. Every step hurt. Every breath burned. Hours passed. Then days. Food ran out. Her strength faded. Still she kept moving. Because there was nowhere left to go. No village would shelter a convicted traitor. No pack would protect an abandoned Omega. And the Alpha King himself had cast her out. The memory hurt more than the cold. She remembered the look in Kael's eyes when she left. Not hatred. Not anger. And somehow that was worse. Because part of him wanted to trust her. But he didn't. By the third night, Elara collapsed. The snow beneath her felt strangely warm. Her vision blurred. The sky faded. For a moment she thought she saw her mother's face. A woman she couldn't remember. A voice whispered through the darkness. Ancient. Wake up, child of the moon. Then everything disappeared. When Elara opened her eyes again, she wasn't outside. She lay inside a cavern glowing with silver crystals. Warm air filled the chamber. Streams of blue light flowed through the walls like living rivers. For several seconds she wondered if she had died. Then she heard voices. Real voices. A group of wolves stood nearby. Not ordinary wolves. Their eyes glowed silver. Ancient symbols decorated their clothing. They watched her with quiet reverence. An elderly woman stepped forward. Her hair shone white beneath the crystal light. You survived. Elara frowned. Where am I? The woman smiled. The sanctuary of Luna. The words meant nothing to her. But everyone else looked serious. The elderly woman studied her carefully. Then her eyes landed on Elara's necklace. Immediately she bowed. Every wolf behind her did the same. Elara stared. What are you doing? The woman's voice trembled. Welcoming our queen. For the next several weeks, Elara learned truths that shattered everything she believed. The sanctuary had existed for centuries. Hidden from kings. Hidden from packs. Hidden from the world. It protected the descendants of the first Luna. An ancient bloodline blessed directly by the moon goddess. And according to every elder there, Elara belonged to that bloodline. At first she refused to believe it. Then they showed her the records. Ancient paintings. Family crests. Histories. Every piece pointed toward the same conclusion. House Mooncrest had not merely been a noble family. They had been the original Luna rulers before their bloodline was nearly exterminated. Elara was the last surviving heir. The rightful successor. The truth left her speechless. All her life she had believed she was nothing. An unwanted Omega. Burden. Mistake. Now she learned she carried one of the most powerful bloodlines in existence. The revelation terrified her. But it also awakened something. Something sleeping deep inside her soul. One evening the sanctuary elders led her to an underground lake. Moonlight poured through an opening in the cavern ceiling. The water glowed silver. The elderly woman approached. Tonight your wolf awakens. Elara froze. Every werewolf shifted eventually. But she never had. Many villagers mocked her because of it. Some claimed she was defective, broken, weak. Now the elders were telling her otherwise. The old woman touched her shoulder. You were never weak. Her eyes softened. You were sealed. The lake began glowing brighter. Silver energy swirled across the water. The air vibrated. Elara suddenly felt heat spreading through her body. Then pain. Unimaginable pain. She screamed. Power exploded through her veins. Bones shifted. Muscles stretched. Silver light erupted around her. The cavern shook violently. The elders fell to their knees. Ancient symbols ignited across the walls. The transformation lasted several minutes. When it ended, silence filled the chamber. Elara stood trembling, breathing heavily. Change. Power radiated from her body. Silver markings glowed beneath her skin. And behind her, a massive wolf emerged from the light. Not gray, not black, silver, beautiful, ancient. The wolf opened glowing eyes. The entire sanctuary bowed, because they understood something Elara did not. This wasn't an ordinary wolf. This was the Moon Wolf, the legendary guardian spirit believed extinct. At that moment, Elara realized her life would never be the same again. And far away in the capital, the first cracks in Seraphina's lies had already begun appearing. Elara awakens the legendary Moon Wolf and discovers she is the rightful heir to an ancient Luna bloodline, while dangerous truths begin surfacing inside the royal palace. The kingdom was falling apart, and Kael knew it. Ever since Elara's exile, nothing felt right. At first he ignored the feeling. Kings couldn't afford doubt. Kings made difficult decisions. That was what he told himself. Every day, every night. Yet the guilt remained. Growing, spreading, refusing to disappear. Then Lyra found the first crack. She had never trusted Seraphina's accusations. Something felt wrong from the beginning. So while everyone celebrated Elara's conviction, Lyra quietly investigated. Weeks later she discovered a small inconsistency. A witness statement. Then another. Then another. Tiny details. Minor contradictions. But together they formed a pattern. Someone had manufactured evidence. Someone powerful. Someone clever. Someone close to the throne. One evening Lyra stormed into Kael's private chambers. The Alpha King looked exhausted. Dark circles rested beneath his eyes. His temper had become legendary. Entire council meetings ended in silence. Nobody dared challenge him anymore. Lyra threw a stack of documents onto his desk. Read. Kael frowned. What is this? The truth. Hours passed. The more he read, the paler he became. Witnesses changed stories. Signatures didn't match. Dates conflicted. Records vanished. The evidence against Elara suddenly looked suspicious. Dangerously suspicious. By midnight Kael's hand shook. For the first time in years. Because a horrifying possibility emerged. What if she had been innocent? The next morning Kael summoned Darius. The commander arrived immediately. Confident as always. Loyal as always. Or so Kael once believed. The king placed several documents on the table. Explain these. Darius read them. His expression changed slightly. Only slightly. But Kael noticed. Years of warfare had taught him how to read people. And for the first time, he saw fear. The room became deadly quiet. Kael stood slowly. Darius. The commander's throat tightened. Yes, your majesty. The Alpha King's silver eyes darkened. Look at me. Darius obeyed. Mistake. Because Kael saw the truth immediately. Guilt. The realization hit like a blade. One of his most trusted men had lied. The betrayal burned. Kael grabbed Darius by the throat and slammed him against the wall. The chamber exploded with power. Furniture shattered. Windows cracked. You framed her. Darius struggled. Your Majesty. Answer me. The roar shook the castle. Darius finally broke. And when he confessed, Kael felt something inside him die. Because every word confirmed the nightmare. Elara had told the truth. All of it. Hours later Kael sat alone inside the throne room. The same throne room where Elara had been accused. The same throne room where he failed her. Silence surrounded him. Memories returned. Her face. Her voice. The hurt in her eyes when he chose evidence over trust. The memory was unbearable. For the first time in years, Kael regretted something. Deeply. Completely. And the worst part. She was probably dead. The storm. Exile. The wilderness. No Omega could survive alone out there. The realization crushed him. Then Lyra entered. Without knocking. Without permission. She walked directly toward him. You loved her. Kael looked away. The silence answered for him. Lyra sighed. You're an idiot. Normally nobody would dare speak to a king that way. But Lyra wasn't afraid. She never had been. Kael stared at the throne floor. I failed her. The words sounded broken. Almost human. Lyra softened slightly. Then find her. A bitter laugh escaped him. She's gone. No. Lyra stepped closer. I don't believe that. Several days later scouts returned from the northern mountains. Kael barely listened at first. Until one scout spoke. Your Majesty. The warrior hesitated. We found tracks. Kael looked up. What kind of tracks? The scout swallowed. Human. The room became still. And, the scout continued. They ended near the sanctuary mountains. Every elder in the room froze. Even Rowan. The sanctuary mountains. A place hidden from ordinary wolves. A place connected to ancient legends. Kael's heart pounded. For the first time since Elara disappeared, hope appeared. Teeny. Fragile. Dangerous. But real. Then Rowan spoke quietly. If she reached the sanctuary. The old wolf smiled. Then she's alive. Silence filled the room. Kael stood immediately. Months of guilt transformed into determination. He would find her. No matter what it took. No matter how far he had to travel. Because now he understood the truth. The greatest mistake of his life wasn't trusting the wrong people. It was losing the woman who had risked everything for strangers. And somewhere beyond the mountains, the woman he loved was no longer an abandoned Omega. She was becoming something far more powerful. Something capable of challenging kings. Something capable of changing the kingdom forever. Kael discovers Elara is alive and begins searching for her, unaware that she has already transformed into the legendary heir of the Moon Wolf bloodline, and her return will shake the kingdom to its foundations. Winter loosened its grip on the kingdom. Snow melted from the mountains. Rivers flowed again. Flowers emerged across valleys that had once been frozen. But inside the royal capital, tension only grew. Rumors spread like wildfire. Whispers of rebellion. Whispers of betrayal. Whispers that the Alpha King's throne was no longer secure. And then the rumors changed. A new name appeared. Elara. First nobody believed the stories. They said a silver wolf had been seen leading entire packs through the northern mountains. They said rogue wolves had sworn loyalty to a mysterious Luna. They said ancient powers long believed extinct had awakened. Most dismissed the stories as nonsense. Until the gates of the capital opened. And she walked through them. The city fell silent. Elara Ashwood had returned. But she wasn't the same Omega who left. Power surrounded her like moonlight. Silver markings glowed faintly beneath her skin. Her posture radiated confidence, strength, authority. Behind her marched hundreds of wolves from the sanctuary. Ancient warriors carrying lunar banners. The sight alone stunned the kingdom. People flooded the streets. Touching. Whispering. Pointing. No one laughed now. No one mocked her. The Omega they once pitied had become someone impossible to ignore. Inside the palace, Seraphina nearly dropped her wine goblet when she heard the news. Fear flashed across her face. Real fear. For the first time in years. Because Elara wasn't supposed to return. She was supposed to die. The royal court assembled immediately. Nobles packed the throne room. Guards lined every wall. Kael stood before his throne. His heart pounded harder than it had during any battle. Then the doors opened. Elara entered. The room inhaled sharply. For several seconds nobody spoke. Kael couldn't. Because seeing her alive felt unreal. Months of guilt crashed into him at once. The last image he remembered was her disappearing into a snowstorm. Broken. Alone. Now she stood before him stronger than anyone in the room. Even stronger than him. Their eyes met. Silence stretched. 1,000 emotions passed between them. Regret, pain, longing, unanswered questions. Then Elara looked away first. The simple gesture hurt more than any blade. Because she no longer needed him. Seraphina recovered quickly. You dare return after being convicted of treason? The accusation echoed through the hall. Elara smiled. Calm smile. Dangerous. Confident. I came for the truth. The room shifted uneasily. Kael noticed several nobles suddenly looking nervous. Especially Darius. The commander avoided eye contact entirely. Interesting. Very interesting. Elara stepped forward. Tomorrow. Her voice echoed through the chamber. I will reveal everything. The court erupted. What does that mean? What truth? What is she hiding? Elara ignored them. Instead she looked directly at Seraphina. The villain's face remained composed. But fear lurked beneath the surface. Elara saw it. And smiled again. Because the trap was finally ready. That night Seraphina couldn't sleep. Panic consumed her. For years every move had gone according to plan. Every rival eliminated. Every secret buried. Yet somehow Elara survived. And now she was threatening everything. Seraphina made a decision. If Elara intended exposing the truth tomorrow, then she had to die tonight. But she was already too late. Because Elara expected the attack. And prepared accordingly. By sunrise the kingdom stood on the edge of a revelation. One that would destroy lives. One that would shake the throne. And one that would finally expose the monsters hiding in plain sight. Elara announces a public revelation before the entire kingdom, while Seraphina secretly prepares a desperate final attempt to silence her forever. The Great Assembly occurred only once every 10 years. Every alpha, every noble, every elder, every major pack leader attended. Tens of thousands gathered inside the capital. Nobody realized they were about to witness history. The massive arena overflowed with wolves. Banners waved. Voices echoed. Excitement filled the air. At the center stood a raised platform. And on that platform stood Elara. Beside her sat Kael. Silent. Watching. Waiting. The entire kingdom held its breath. Elara raised a hand. The crowd gradually quieted. Then she began speaking. Not with anger. Not with revenge. With truth. She described the river. The rescue. Palace. The accusations. Exile. Every word echoed across the arena. People listened carefully. Then she revealed the evidence. Real evidence. The evidence Seraphina failed to destroy. Gasps erupted. Witness testimonies. Forged signatures. Hidden financial records. Secret correspondence. Every piece pointed toward the same conclusion. The treason charges had been fabricated. The kingdom erupted. Thousands shouted at once. Disbelief. Rage. Kael's expression darkened. Because the evidence was undeniable. Then came Darius. The commander was dragged onto the platform. Bound in silver chains. The crowd immediately recognized him. Fear spread across his face. For months he believed his lies would remain hidden forever. Now the truth stood before him. Elara stepped closer. Tell them. Darius remained silent. Kael rose slowly. The entire arena became still. The Alpha King's voice thundered across the gathering. Tell them. The command carried Alpha authority. Impossible to resist. Darius broke. And when he confessed, chaos exploded. He admitted accepting bribes. Admitted planting evidence. Admitted helping frame Elara. The crowd roared. Some demanded execution immediately. Others looked horrified. But Elara wasn't finished. Not even close. Because Darius was never the true enemy. Only a pawn. Seraphina realized what was coming. For the first time in years she lost control. No. She backed away. No. Elara's eyes locked onto hers. Cold. Focused. Unforgiving. Then another witness appeared. Then another. Then another. Former servants. Guards. Messengers. People Seraphina believed silenced forever. Each testified against her. Each revealed another piece of the truth. The arena fell silent, because the story grew darker. Much darker. Assassinations. Bribery. Blackmail. Murder. Years of manipulation hidden beneath a perfect smile. Every crime surfaced, one after another, like corpses rising from a grave. Seraphina's mask finally shattered. "You fools," she screamed. Her voice echoed across the arena. "You have no idea what I sacrificed." The crowd recoiled. Madness burned in her eyes. "I deserved the throne." There it was. The truth. Not loyalty. Not duty. Ambition. Pure ambition. Everything she had done. Every life she destroyed. Every betrayal. All for power. Then suddenly Seraphina laughed. Terrifying sound. Because despite everything, she wasn't finished. Not yet. She looked directly at Elara. And smiled. "You still don't know who you are." The arena became silent. Elara frowned. "What?" Seraphina's smile widened. "The truth about your parents." A chill swept through the crowd. Even Rowan looked alarmed. Because whatever secret remained, it was apparently worse than anyone imagined. As her empire collapses, Seraphina reveals there is still one devastating secret left, the truth about Elara's stolen past. The arena remained silent. Thousands of wolves stared at Seraphina, waiting, listening. Fear spread through the crowd, because everyone sensed something enormous was coming, something capable of changing everything. Seraphina slowly stood. Her smile looked almost triumphant. Even now, even defeated, she believed she still possessed one final weapon. The truth. "You weren't abandoned," she said. Elara froze. The words hit harder than expected. Not abandoned. Then why? Why had she spent her entire life alone? Why had nobody come for her? Seraphina laughed bitterly. "Your parents never abandoned you." The arena fell silent. Rowan closed his eyes. As if he already knew. As if he feared hearing it spoken aloud. Then Seraphina delivered the final blow. "I stole you." Gasps erupted everywhere. Elara's heart stopped. What? 20 years earlier, House Mooncrest had not simply been attacked. It had been betrayed. From within. Seraphina herself orchestrated the massacre. Not because she hated the family. Because she feared them. The Mooncrest bloodline held legitimacy. Authority. A direct connection to ancient prophecy. As long as they lived, she could never control the kingdom. So she destroyed them. Or tried to. Everyone died. Except one child. An infant girl. Elara. Seraphina kidnapped her personally. Then abandoned her far from the capital. Far from anyone who might recognize her. A life of loneliness had been carefully engineered. Not by fate. By Seraphina. Tears filled Elara's eyes. Not from weakness. From grief. Years of suffering suddenly had a face. Reason. Culprit. The pain she carried her entire life was never accidental. It was stolen from her. Then Rowan stepped forward. His voice trembled. "There is more." The arena quieted again. The old elder held an ancient scroll. One rescued from destruction decades earlier. A document hidden until now. He opened it carefully. The crowd waited. And the final mystery unfolded. Elara wasn't merely the last Mooncrest heir. She was the daughter of the last Luna Queen. And according to the ancient prophecy, her bloodline would eventually produce twin heirs destined to unite every pack in the kingdom. Twin heirs. The words echoed across the arena. Future. Legacy. A destiny greater than anyone imagined. Seraphina screamed. Desperate. Defeated. Broken. She lunged for a hidden blade. Trying to kill Elara one final time. But she never reached her target. Kael moved first. The Alpha King intercepted her instantly. The blade shattered. Guards surrounded her. Moments later, the woman who terrorized the kingdom for decades finally fell. Not as a queen, not as a ruler, but as a criminal. Exactly what she deserved. Then something unexpected happened. Kael stepped forward. Before the entire kingdom. Before every alpha, every elder, every noble. He dropped to one knee. The arena gasped. Kings did not kneel. Not publicly. Not ever. Yet Kael did. For her. He lowered his head. I failed you. The words carried across the arena. Honest. Painful. I chose doubt when I should have chosen trust. Silence filled the kingdom. Many had never seen their ruler vulnerable before. Now they watched him expose his heart. Kael looked up. His eyes met Elara's. I cannot undo what happened. His voice cracked. But I will spend the rest of my life earning forgiveness. For several seconds Elara said nothing. The entire kingdom waited. And slowly, she offered her hand. Not because she forgot. Not because the pain vanished. Because healing required courage too. Kael took her hand. The crowd erupted. Weeks later the kingdom celebrated. For the first time in years hope returned. Peace followed. Old wounds began healing. And beneath the light of a full moon, Elara was crowned Luna Queen. Silver light illuminated the ceremony. Thousands gathered to witness it. The kingdom finally had its rightful ruler. But one final surprise remained. Lyra arrived carrying her newborn pup. The very pup Elara had saved in the river months ago. Rowan smiled as he examined the child. Then his eyes widened. Silver light flashed around the infant. The elder laughed softly. The prophecy continues. Everyone stared. What do you mean? Rowan looked toward the moon. This child. His voice echoed through the celebration. Will become the next alpha ruler of the United Kingdom. Shock swept through the gathering. The pup Elara saved that stormy night. The life she risked everything to protect. Would someday shape the future of the entire realm. And suddenly everyone understood. The river. The rescue. The throne. The betrayal. Exile. Every path had led here. Years later, stories about Luna Queen Elara spread across every corner of the kingdom. Children heard tales of the Omega nobody wanted. The girl mocked by villagers. The woman betrayed by kings. The Luna who refused to let cruelty turn her cruel. People remembered her strength, her compassion, her courage. Most of all, they remembered one simple choice. The moment she jumped into a freezing river to save a stranger. Because that single act of kindness changed everything. It saved a princess, exposed a conspiracy, restored a lost bloodline, and united a kingdom. On quiet nights, when moonlight covered the palace gardens, Elara would sometimes look toward the river that started it all, and smile. Because fate hadn't made her great. Power hadn't made her great. The crown hadn't made her great. Choice had. The choice to help someone when nobody else would. And under the blessing of the moon goddess, the reign of Luna Queen Elara had only just begun.